If you're watching this video right now, you are wrong about the first Super Bowl between the Giants and the Patriots. At least I think so. I mean, again, okay, someone's probably right about it. But I actually think that there's a narrative that's commonly talked about with that Super Bowl that is just completely untrue, and I find it really fascinating. So the narrative I am talking about is the fact that everyone talks about how they got pressure with 4 against Tom Brady in that Super Bowl. That frustrated him, and that's why the Patriots did not win. It was the pressure. And there's actually some truth to that. It's not entirely wrong. Like most narratives, there's some truth, but there's not entire truths to it. So here is the truth part. The truth part is that there was a 32.1 pressure percentage in that game. Just for perspective, the highest in 2021 was 30.8 throughout the course of an entire season. So this was a game where they got a ton of pressure on Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. That part is absolutely true. The reason why I'm comparing it to 2021 instead of to 2007 when the Super Bowl took place is just that data doesn't exist. So I actually had to go back and rewatch the Super Bowl to enter the data in myself. But that's why I'm using the 2021 data. But this is where things are interesting. 29.6 blitz percentage was the statistic that I discovered when rewatching this game. That would be the 8th highest in 2021. So while it is true that they got a lot of pressure, it's not true that they just sat back and got pressure with 4. They blitzed a solid amount in this game. And in fact, when they blitzed, that's typically when they had their success. Their pressure percentage during a blitz that game was 50%. Every other time they blitzed, they got a pressure, whereas their pressure percentage with no blitz was still a solid 23.7%. And that's why I sit here and say, like, that's still not, there still is some truth to the narrative. They did do a good job of getting pressure even with 4. This would be better than about 6 or 7 teams last year, just period. And they did it without blitzing on those plays. But clearly the real success was when they were blitzing. That's when they really thrived. And also, a play like this is a great example of you see how, look how long it's going to take for the pressure to actually get there. Some of these pressures were simply when, the play lasted for a minute because the coverage was good. I always say this, coverage never gets credit for sacks, but coverage accounts for far more sacks than people realize. Quarterback holds on to the ball for too long, which is sometimes a quarterback thing, sometimes it's a situational thing, and sometimes it's a coverage thing. That can create some sacks, and that certainly happened. Also, I have to talk about this play just because it's insane. This was a 4th down and 13. The Patriots were, it would have been a less than 50-yard field goal, and Bill Belichick decided to go for it for some reason with 6:47 left. So this was an odd decision by Belichick. As you see, Brady just threw one towards the end zone, and it did not go. And then a little bit later on, Belichick would elect to punt the football on a 4th down and 5 just outside of field goal range. So weird decisions from Belichick, certainly. But I do feel like the narrative behind that game is a little bit wrong. I think that the narrative should be Brady didn't play well, which that's already part of a narrative. I think people accept that Brady did not have his best game, and that's why they did not go 19-0. I think there were some weird coaching decisions by the Patriots, those ones I just talked about. Also some weird running plays in certain situations that I thought were odd. That was another thing that hurt them. It was 2007. Every team did that, though, so hard to blame them too much. But the biggest thing I think does not get enough credit is Steve Spagnuolo did an incredible job in this Super Bowl at dialing up blitzes. I think he gets a lot of credit, but again, people say the wrong narrative. I've heard so many people say they got pressure with their edge rushers. They got pressure with just, rushing 4, and they were able to get pressure quickly. A lot of times when they did get pressure with 4, a decent amount of those pressures that happened, it was in part because they were showing blitz and then didn't blitz, but that still kind of did the job. Steve Spagnuolo coached one of the best games in football history in this one, in my opinion, and I think doesn't get enough credit for it. So wanted to give him some love and talk about that, and that was probably the main reason the Giants won the Super Bowl. On top of, their coverage doesn't get enough credit in this game either. And listen, their front 4 was also very good, so there's no denying that as well. But just kind of something I found interesting is that while this is the common narrative, it's not entirely true. So that's at least what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.